We have come to the decision that we cannot continue to allow this to occur. We've come to the decision. When Nintendo's ninja lawyers show up at your doorstep, yes, you very quickly come to that decision. This is the exact reason why I'm not making emulation-based videos on YouTube anymore. But I'll get to that in a second. So I jumped into my Discord server, and of course I pump all the emulation news into it. Who can keep track when you're in so many Discord servers, right? The news essentially is that the Yuzu, which is, for anybody unaware, is the Nintendo Switch emulator. The Yuzu project is calling it quits because they were hit with a cease and desist from Nintendo. I think it was last week. Yeah, absolutely crazy. If you guys, anybody who's been following my channel for a long time will remember that I broke the news on Yuzu being released all the way back 6 years and 2 months ago? So we're in 2024 now, folks. But yeah, that was huge. January 13th, 2018 is when Bunny released the statement about the Yuzu Nintendo Switch emulator being released. And coming hot off the heels of Semu, which was huge, as everybody will remember, especially around the time Breath of the Wild released, and their Patreon, which is part of the problem here. Their Patreon account, that Semu's, of course, exploded with backers. And I was one of those backers. I was making a lot of Semu Wii U emulator videos back in the day. It's probably how most of my subscribers found me originally, because I think the very first person on YouTube to release Breath of the Wild footage running in an emulator on YouTube, which was really cool at the time. Anyways, all these years later, again, it's March of 2024, so we're, over a year since Tears of the Kingdom released, I think. The latest Zelda game, for anybody unaware. And of course, that was supported in Yuzu. I'm not sure if it was supported day one, but I am pretty sure Ryuji NX was. And that's the other Nintendo Switch emulator. Ryuji NX, or that's what the OGs call it. Or Ryujinx, as a lot of other people know it as. They're both Nintendo Switch emulators and both heavily support the current library as far as I'm aware. Anyways, yeah, let's just take a look at the statement because I think it's pretty interesting. And we'll talk about why this potentially happened. But Yuzu posts, hello, users and Citra fans. So again, for anybody unaware, the Citra team and the Yuzu team, there's some cross-seeding that happens there, and everybody kind of benefits from the similar code base. They say, we write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu's support of Citra are being discontinued effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the project in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures, yes, and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, they have led to extensive piracy. In particular, we have been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. We have come to the decision that we cannot continue to allow this to occur. We've come to the decision. When Nintendo's ninja lawyers show up at your doorstep, yes, you very quickly come to that decision. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and on video game consoles should end. Effective today, we will be pulling our code repositories offline, discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step towards ending piracy of all creators' works. Thank you for your years of support and for understanding our decision. and I posted in my own Discord server. That's pretty huge to the emulation community, because it absolutely is. So 6 years of development, and their Patreon was reeling in over 30K a month. So that's absolutely huge. And I guess that's part of the problem, right? Once you start making money doing something like this, you're going to pull the attention of Nintendo and Nintendo's team of ninja lawyers. It's kind of sad, but absolutely understandable. And it's also one of those things, I mean, Semu showed the entire emulation community that you can get away with having a Patreon and collecting huge sums of money monthly for development of an emulator, of a Nintendo emulator specifically. Looking at Team Semu and looking at Yuzu, you see a very similar thing here. Like if you go back in time, this is Team Semu, and you start to get, bam, this is the Zelda effect that's happening right here. Right there. It's the peak of Zelda. And then we go back down. But I mean, this is still a lot of money month to month, even 2 years past Breath of the Wild being released on Semu. Semu was still making a peak there at 6K. And then going down, and of course they went open source. Looking at Yuzu is the same deal. Early days. And then they go up. And what's this? What is this? This is the period of time where Zelda came out. People hear about it, and bam. Huge boost in revenue. A peak of 44K. Wow. That is a lot of cheddar. That's a lot of cheddar. A lot of cheddar cheese. And I'm really surprised that it's taken this long for Nintendo to do anything about it. Not because I agree with Nintendo's actions. I don't. People have talked about it for years, emulation being a legal gray area. But I mean, emulation itself, when done properly, when developed properly, is legal. But the problem, of course, is when you start collecting money for it, especially if it can be proven that it's being used for piracy. And the whole conversation of piracy, that's a different topic entirely. And I would argue that piracy is a net good for companies like Nintendo, as well as the music industry. It's been shown time and time again that piracy is actually beneficial. But that's a topic for another time. But as a creator, as somebody who spent an enormous amount of time making emulation-based content on YouTube, this is the exact reason why I stopped doing it. I was getting a lot of views on my emulation content, but what ended up happening is Nintendo was hitting me. I was making emulator setup videos, how-to guides on how to set up your emulators, and time again I was hit with demonetization, and it was Nintendo directly making the claims. And when Nintendo shows up and they make a claim on your video, or they age restrict it, or they do any of the things that they can possibly do, it kills the views. So this is a perfect example. Semu emulator setup guide, and this was a few years ago, and it's still relevant. Like, I updated the date here because it's still relevant, but it's posted 4 years ago, and it stopped at 10K views. And a lot of my Semu content has multiple times over the amount of views, and it just died. And that happened a few times, and I was just like, well, I can't possibly keep doing this. It's a lot of energy and effort to make any content on YouTube, especially trying to get people to pay attention to it and engage with it. So I did the sensible thing, and that was I stopped making Semu content. I stopped making emulation-based content. I put a lot of it over on a different channel called Emulated. As you can see, this is called Emulated. It was my playlist for emulation-based content, and I love video game emulation. It's So I've emulated my games since I was a kid. I also own all the games. I love to emulate. But just like everyone else, I've also picked up the odd ROM here and there to test different things out. Anyways, it's really interesting. Again, I find it really crazy that Nintendo is hitting Yuzu like a year after Tears of the Kingdom came out. I mean, everyone's looking forward to the next Nintendo console, right? So, I mean, why didn't Nintendo hit when, Breath of the Wild came out on Cemu? It was damn near playable. I followed that game through all of the Cemu updates. It was really interesting to see the Cemu team go through the process of making that game playable. But I mean, Nintendo didn't stop them. Why is it a year after Tears of the Kingdom they're shutting Yuzu down? But here we are. It's not feasible for content creators to be covering Nintendo content. It's just not. So if you needed any unsolicited advice, mine would be to stay the hell away from Nintendo. Or feel the wrath of the Ninja Lawyer Squad. Now I'm also seeing that there's a Citra alert, and it makes me wonder if they're making an announcement. This might be real time here. Them responding to the same thing. Let's find out. Same thing from Bunny. We write you today to inform that Yuzu and Yuzu support of Citra are being discontinued, effective immediately. Yeah, this looks like the exact same copy pasta. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy video games and video game consoles should end. I mean, this message totally just sounds like cookie cutter. What did Nintendo's lawyers tell us to say? We have to put a certain message out, which I totally understand. Like, these guys have been working on this for 6 years. A little bit longer than 6 years, and they need to protect themselves. And nobody can fight Nintendo. It's not happening. So anyways, that's the news for today. And if you're wondering why I don't make emulation-based content anymore, that's why. Without an immense amount of support, which compared to what, Cemu and Yuzu, Citra. What's next? Is Citra going to be shut down by extension? Is Ryujinx going to be shut down? You can't fight this. And I mean, there was legal precedent for being able to make emulators, but I mean, you can't make money off of it when you're pulling in tens of thousands of dollars a month. You're going to attract Nintendo's attention in the worst way possible. And of course, if you're interested in general tech stuff and tech help videos, I'm still making content. It just won't be emulation based. So jump into the Discord server, say hi. I know that there are many of you out there that signed up for the emulation stuff. And I totally get if you're not into what I'm doing currently, but I'm still doing game mods and a lot of tech-based things. So if you're interested in things like that, please come check me out still. And of course, I have my own Patreon, and you can sign up for free just to be in the loop with all the videos that I'm releasing once a week. So hope you sign up and join the Discord. I really enjoy interacting with everybody. That's all I got to say today. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.